Hello and welcome to TechWhirl's Fast 5 discussions, and thank you for joining us for today's show. Today is part 2 of our conversations on Adobe Technical Communications Suite. Joining us to provide some tips, tricks, and insider information is Stefan Gentz, Adobe Worldwide TechCom Evangelist. Stefan, welcome. And as Adobe's Worldwide TechCom Evangelist, I would probably say you have the top award for air miles for anyone who's probably ever been on our Fast 5 discussions. Can you talk us through what exactly do you do as an evangelist?
Well, it's a lot of different kinds of roles that I play there. So one is, of course, going to conferences around the world. So I actually have a lot of air miles there. I recently said to someone, where are you? He asked me, where are you living? And I said, at Lufthansa. And that fits it pretty good. And yeah, so I'm traveling around the world to all kinds of technical communication conferences and speak there, talk to people. And on many of them, we have a stand, a booth, where we interact with people, customers, and interested people. And then I take care of the social media channels from Adobe, like Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn. And I curate the blog that we have, the Adobe Technical Communication blog. Maybe we can put a link into the chat later. I do a lot of interacting with partners, technology partners, like content management system providers, translation companies, or translation technology companies like SDL and Lacrosse and Kilgray and so on. And yeah, content management systems, dealing with salespeople there, dealing with the technology people there, helping them to implement our solutions, doing collaborative projects, stuff like that. So a lot of different things.
Very nice. Yeah, sounds like quite a wide range of activities. So yeah. We know that you love all the locations you go to equally. We know this. But if you were to have a couple favorites, any that stand out for you, places that you've been to that you really enjoyed meeting the folks, or like just the overall environment?
Oh, that's a tough question because there are so many beautiful places in the world and nice people everywhere. So maybe this year I was in Israel, in Jerusalem, for Paula's MegaCom conference. That was very interesting, and I really loved Jerusalem. Very nice city. And I was in India, in Delhi at the Adobe office, Noida, and in Bangalore for the TechWhirl India conference. And I really like India. It's very different experience to Europe, but I really like it. And the conferences in the US are, of course, awesome. And in a few weeks, I will go to China, to Shanghai. It's also very, very interesting there. Completely different world in technical communication there. So Italy, I was last week or the week before, I was in Bologna. So that was also nice in Italy. And there are a lot of nice places.
Very good, very good. Well, we're thrilled to have you here. We look forward to having you answer some of our questions about the new release. Yeah. So in addition to Stefan, we have joining us for the discussion is to ask some questions is Connie Giordano, our co-owner and exec editor of TechWhirl. My name's Al Martin. I'll also be asking some questions as well. Connie, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I just kind of watching things start to a conversation starting to coalesce around the latest user advocate piece on alt docs and the alt doc universe, which garnered a lot of discussion and conversation. So that's been fun to watch, and just prepping and doing various things with various kinds of writers. We've gotten new writers from South Korea who are joining us, and a few other things like that. So life goes on at TechWhirl.
Very good, very good.
Definitely, yeah.
All right, before we dive in here, I want to take one moment and say that Adobe's been a longtime partner of TechWhirl. We have been around about 20 years. They've been with us about the same amount of time. We've had a very good working relationship with them throughout. And as we go through here, This isn't a hard sell sort of conversation. We're going to ask some questions about the new release. Stefan's going to do his best to answer them. If we don't get to all of them, maybe he'll be kind enough in some of his flights to maybe type out a couple answers that we can put online. But what we will recommend for anybody watching this is if you are looking for software, if you're looking to upgrade to a kind of best-in-class software, you owe it to yourself to at least download the current 2017 release and kick the tires. It's a 30-day free trial and just see what you think. It might not be for you. You know, those things happen, but there's a really good chance it might be. So we're not going to do the hard sell thing here. This is more answering questions. That's why people are watching this. But we will say, as a partner of ours, but also as just knowing that this is a very, very good release, we are going to suggest you at least give it a try. You can go to our website. You can click on the advertisements that we have there for Adobe. You can go to Adobe TechComp Central. You have a number of places to go. So, you know, that's what we have to say about that. We just want to, encourage you to give it a try. So these are technically Fast 5 discussions. Let's be clear. We have about 15 questions we want to ask here, but the branding works. You know, we're going to ask some questions on the whole wide range of the Adobe suite today, and Stefan's going to do his best to answer them. We also had some questions submitted during the sign up. And if you do have a question as you're watching this right now, if you use the hashtag TWFAST numeral 5, hashtag TWFast5, put it on Twitter. We're going to be checking that. It's on the other monitor, which you can't see. And if you have it, we'll wait till there's a pause in the action, and then we'll ask your question next. So anyway, there's plenty of ways to get your questions answered on the release. All you got to do is submit them. So I think we're kind of through the opening. Connie, do you want to ask the first question?
Sure. We're going to kick this off with every tech writer's favorite tool, FrameMaker. It's changed a lot in the last 10 years. So I wonder if, Stefan, if you could give me a little bit of a background on what you think the future is for FrameMaker, how it's going to be evolving, based on how it's evolved over the last 10 years or so.
You're totally right. In the last 10 years, FrameMaker has changed a lot. So when I started with FrameMaker 5 or so, and when I look back how FrameMaker looked like at this time and how it looks like today and what it can do today, there are worlds between that. So one big change was, of course, FrameMaker 8, where FrameMaker became Unicode enabled. It was pretty early and already supported DITA 1.1, I think, at that time. So FrameMaker was one of the first DITA editors. And it has been an editor for structured content for a long, long time. And of course, this is the part in FrameMaker that evolved very strongly over the last 5 releases or so. And there's someone ringing on my door, I think. I don't know what that is. I hope it's not. Anyway. So FrameMaker evolved a lot, and it became more and more a structured editor. And that is one of the biggest changes that has happened in FrameMaker, and where most of the development effort went into. And today, FrameMaker is a very powerful editor for XML. And you can basically author and publish and edit content in more or less all languages of the world, thanks to the Unicode enablement. And in 2015, we introduced the right-to-left capabilities. So you can also work with right-to-left languages like Arabic and Farsi and Hebrew and so on. And you can even edit languages like Thai. And if you go a little bit beyond that, you could even do languages like Gujarati and Hindi and all the Indian languages. And I recently had someone showing me that he was editing Klingon in FrameMaker. So, so that was quite funny to see. I didn't have time yet to do that, but I wanted to make a blog post about that one day, editing Klingon in FrameMaker. So that would be fun. And of course, with DITA then. The change is very, and that's what we also see on the customer side, especially with bigger companies. They're all moving to structured content, and therefore we put a lot of effort into making the experience that you have as a user when creating structured XML-based content better, and make it the best XML editing tool for technical writers in the world. And of course, publishing. That's another big topic. So a lot of effort went into the publishing capabilities of FrameMaker for both unstructured classic content and structured content. So we have HTML, responsive HTML5 introduced. You can even publish to mobile apps for iOS and Android and stuff like that. So there were a lot of changes in the publishing front as well.
Very nice. So this was a really kind of a large release, 2017 was. From your knowledge, given all the experience you've had with it, what are some of the biggest changes the FrameMaker for this release that you'd really want people to know about?
I would say it's there are tons and tons and tons of smaller features and enhancements that make the productivity for the author better. But I would say the main thing about that release is that we thought about the user experience, the experience that the FrameMaker author or the technical writer has with the product. And I would say this release is mostly about the user experience. So we spent a lot of effort into revamping the interface. We did a lot of background work in the core of FrameMaker to make it future-proof for all the modern requirements that are coming up or already there, like high DPI screens or Retina displays and so on. So FrameMaker can run on a up to 4K screen now with high DPI settings and super sharp text and icons and menus and dialogues and so on. And we rearranged a lot of stuff in FrameMaker that created a little bit of buzz in the community. Like people were saying, oh, I don't find my stuff anymore when they were using it for 20 years or so. But there were a lot of things in the user interface that were not really logical or a little bit strange and weird. And we made that more easy and straightened that out and reorganized the things in the user interface a lot so that it becomes more logical and more intuitive for users to use it. And once the people get it, by using it a few days, they say, oh yeah, okay, I was wrong, and it's much better now, like inserting an image. So in the past, you had to go to File, Import File, select an image, then a dialog pops up asking you for what kind of graphic that is, and ask you to specify a lot of settings like DPI and scaling and whatever. And then you can finally insert that image, and then you have to rearrange it, and it's bigger than the text flow, and you have to scale it down and stuff like that. And today you just go to the new insert menu, say insert image, select the graphic, whoop, it's in the document, and it automatically scales down to the text column width and stuff like that. So it's makes you much more faster to insert images, for example. And these kind of changes, we did a lot and thought, how are people using the product and what are they doing, and how can we make that better and faster for the author to work more productive with the tool? And I think we did a pretty good job on that.
Excellent. So then that's a good lead into the next couple of questions that we want to talk about, the XML documentation add-on for Adobe Experience Manager. And I know that this has been a pretty big deal with people who were doing enterprise level content strategy. Yes. So tell us a little bit about the challenges that this add-on solves for folks at the enterprise level.
Well, actually, it was a customer-driven development. So for like the last 10 years or so, all the content strategists were talking about connecting the dots between technical communication and marketing communication, and busting the silos and connecting the departments and the content and bringing it onto one platform and one experience. But there was no solution like that. So no one was providing such a solution. And in the last 2-3 years, more and more big companies were coming to us and said, hey, we have all these silos, and we have a web content management system, and we have a technical communication content management system, and we have an asset management, and so on. And we're getting sick by all these different silos, and we want to consolidate that. We want to have one platform, and you're Adobe, you claim to be one Adobe, make something. And yeah, that was the call from the customer, and we listened to that voice of the customer and said, yeah, okay, totally makes sense. And all the content strategists are requesting this for years and asking software companies to do that, and no one was doing it. So we said, okay, let's do that. And we already have a great web content management system in place, Adobe Experience Manager. We didn't have a content management system for technical communication, our own, but we had FrameMaker and DIDA already. And we thought, okay, why not create a content management system for DIDA, for DIDA-based content, and make a DIDA CCMS, a component content management system, and build that into Adobe Experience Manager. So that enables companies to manage all their technical communication content and their marketing content on one platform, and publish and manage the content and translate the content and so on, and analyze the content on this one platform, and have just one platform to manage the whole enterprise content. And not only the content, also the images and videos and audio stuff and so on. So all the digital assets that companies have today can be managed on that one single platform, and the content and the assets can be shared among the different departments like marketing and teccom, and they can share the same images, the same content, and they can even merge the content coming from marketing and coming from technical communication on one output. So a company can build a website and make technical communication content, place it there just by drag and drop. You can place a DIDA topic by drag and drop directly onto the website, into the template, and you can have marketing content and drag and drop it into the same template, and therefore merge these two formerly totally separated content worlds into one experience for the end customer. And that's what the customers were asking for, and we delivered on that request. And I think it's an awesome solution. And when you look into the feedback from the content strategists, whenever I showed it to someone, or when we released it, they were all like, "Wow, that's exactly what we were asking for the last 10 years." And yeah, so Adobe did it.
Very nice. So you sort of walked through a couple use cases, but if I was considering this, say I have FrameMaker now, but I don't have the XML add-on, and I don't have the publishing server. Can you give a couple more examples, or is it only marketing materials that you can work with? What other use cases really kind of allow this, to see the benefits of the XML add-on?
Well, the XML add-on is explicitly for DIDA.
Okay.
So that's a DIDA Component Content Management System, a CCMS. So you would usually manage all your technical content within this part of that CMS. The marketing content can be managed on the modules like sites and assets and so on that you have in Adobe Experience Manager as well. And then you can use all the technology that is inside that platform as well, like analytics, and AEM is integrated into the marketing cloud. So you can also use all these additional possibilities that Adobe offers, usually for marketing, and suddenly you can also use them for technical content. That means you can now track your the usage of your technical content, and you make deep analytics and see how are people interacting with my technical content, where are they coming from, where are they going to, how long do they stay on that topic, do they move on to other topics, and then you can even guide them and say, okay, you're looking at that technical content. Let's say in the presentation last week, I brought the example from GoPro, the camera manufacturer for action cameras. So they could make something like a GoPro 1 from the Hero 1, a manual there, and say, okay, the screen resolution or the resolution for recording videos is like, I don't know, 1024 by 768. And then they have that technical content there. And right next to that, they can place marketing content that says, hey, did you know that the new GoPro Hero 5 supports full HD video? And then the user who's going to that technical content can switch over to into the marketing channel and the sales funnel and go to the shop and buy the new one. Or they could explain something like, okay, here you can mount your tripod. And next to that is a marketing content that says, hey, you can buy a tripod here in our accessory store. So you can create completely new customer journeys and guide them and use the technical documentation and the technical content as a resource for marketing and basically as a sales driver as well. This is something that makes it really exciting and really interesting for companies who produce consumer products or also technical products, high-tech products, IT products, servers, whatever, to create a unified experience for the customer to merge technical content and technical experiences with marketing experiences. I think that's one of the big use cases that is completely new and that was not there before.
Okay. So one of the other things that is fascinating to me is with the addition of the FrameMaker publishing server. How can you just kind of give me a 30,000-foot view of how the add-on and Adobe Experience Manager interrelate with the publishing server?
FrameMaker Publishing Server is directly natively connected with Adobe Experience Manager and FrameMaker and RoboHelp. So you can publish your technical content from within FrameMaker through the Adobe FrameMaker Publishing Server. And you can also use FrameMaker Publishing Server to publish the data content that you create or manage within Adobe Experience Manager. So from both sides, you can use FrameMaker Publishing Server and publish and schedule tasks for regular publishing, for regular updates, and so on, for creating PDFs or other online helps or so. So you can use both products to interact with FrameMaker Publishing Server, and both are connected through the APIs with each other.
Okay.
Getting more onto the FrameMaking Publishing Server, we've talked a good bit about FrameMaker. Describe how the server works with the TechCom suite of tools and other Adobe software to manage content production. Is it just FrameMaker that it's working with, or does it work with RoboHelp and some of the other Adobe tools?
Yeah, I think a few sentences ago I said it also works for RoboHelp. I was wrong on that. It's not working with RoboHelp, so sorry for that. No, it works for FrameMaker and for Adobe Experience Manager. Both tools are connected and can use the FrameMaker Publishing Server. And yeah, so you go to FrameMaker, open your book or so, and then you can use FrameMaker Publishing Server to do all kinds of scheduled tasks and say, every night at 3 o'clock, I want FrameMaker Publishing Server to create my book and create a big PDF from that. So the use case is usually more for companies who have large amounts of content and large manuals and so that take up a lot of processing time, for example. So or who want to create automatic builds every night. So we have customers who say, I'm doing a lot of editing over the day, and every day I technical documentation and republish it, and I let the FrameMaker Publishing Server do the job overnight. So every night at 1 o'clock, he runs the tasks that creates a complete data map into a new online help and publish it online so that it's up in the next morning. So these are typical use case scenarios for the FrameMaker Publishing Server. Gotcha.
I have a follow-up. When you say publish online, are you pushing out to, can you talk a little bit more to the publish online piece of that? Is it native HTML? Is it inside of a different scenario? What does that look like? What's the kind of more on the publishing online?
Yeah, I would say you have, it depends on what you want to do. So if you want to publish your technical content like manuals and so on within your big websites, like a corporate website with a support portal or a knowledge center or stuff like that, then it makes probably more sense to go through the route of Adobe Experience Manager and publish to AM sites. That's how they're called. And if you have more classic single product or multi-product technical documentation, then you can, for example, use FrameMaker, maybe including FrameMaker Publishing Server, but you don't necessarily need that. You can also use just FrameMaker to publish your content to responsive HTML5. So HTML5 is, and we spend a lot of effort in the 2017 release on the technology side on that as well. So you can, we have completely new templates that look awesome and really modern and nice. And depending on where you look on these online helps, it doesn't matter if it's a full screen, big screen on your work desk, or if it's a smaller tablet, smart pad or whatever, or if it's a small iPhone or a small Android phone or a small smartphone, the published online help automatically adopts to that. So it changes how it looks like. The menus are rearranged so that they better fit for the different kinds of screen sizes that the device has that you're using to access and read that help. So this is the responsive HTML5 help, but you can also, if you have a knowledge center, you would probably want to use AM to publish your content from there to that automatically to these websites.
Oh, okay.
So it's more the question, I would say, if you have a big knowledge center or if you have a single dedicated closed technical online help that is for one product that people should access from hitting F1 on the keyboard or something with help jump-in points and stuff like that. And then they go to that specific responsive HTML5 file.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that was really helpful.
It's just like trying to take it all in, you know, that's sort of, you know, drinking from a fire hose kind of thing, I think, in some cases. So what kind of how would you explain the benefits and the ROI in particular? Because we know that a lot of our audience, a lot of the folks who are, you know, using these tools usually have to explain to somebody somewhere that the ROI is going to be X. So how would you go about advising somebody on explaining the benefits and the ROI of using the publishing server and the other tools in the Adobe ecosystem?
Well, the calculation is probably different for all these tools. So the ROI for Adobe Experience Manager and XML is a completely different one than for FrameMaker, because there's a big difference in prices, of course. And FrameMaker Publishing Server is, for FrameMaker Publishing Server, I would say usually the question is not about the ROI, because people don't ask that question when it comes to FrameMaker Publishing Server. The investment is still quite low. I think it's like $500 per month or something. So you can, when people or companies decide to go for FrameMaker Publishing Server to automate their tasks, it's not about the ROI. It's more about being able to automate and schedule tasks and publishing tasks and let them run in the background on a server, on a dedicated server. So they don't really ask about the ROI of FrameMaker Publishing Server, because it's more a technology advantage that they get from that, and the investment is quite low, so it's nothing that has to be discussed financially usually. It's more, the question is usually more about the technology performance and enabling these performance advantages.
Gotcha. Okay.
If you're how do you make the case for frame-making publishing server if you're a small or medium-sized business with
Mhm.
content team of maybe one or two? What's the case there for? Is it still just scheduling, or is there more that for these small teams?
I wouldn't say that it's a question about if you're a big team or a small team. It's probably more the question about how much content do you have to process.
Okay.
So even a two people tech writing team can maybe need to handle huge documentations with lots of graphics and lots of formatting and maybe 10,000 pages or so. And they, because they have built that over the years, and they need to republish it every day or every night or so. And then it probably makes sense to go for like a publishing server. So I don't think that the team size is really relevant for Framework Publishing Server. It's more the question: how much content do you have? How fast do you want to publish it? And do you want to automate that?
Okay, makes sense.
All right, so now we're going to turn a little bit and talk a little bit about RoboHelp, and wanted to just sort of get a brief take on what's changed in the latest version of RoboHelp.
Again, we spend a lot of effort into the customer experience. So we wanted to improve how people interact with the published online help. So the technical writer creates his technical documentation in RoboHelp, and then he creates an output format, like responsive HTML5. And when you look into most help systems, they all look the same, and they all look, yeah, maybe not super sexy. So that's what we wanted to change. So we introduced a complete new, I think, sexy templates. So they look nice and look good and are more appealing for the end user. And we have introduced a couple of new, I think, really cool new features. So maybe you know, I mean, we're on Google Hangout now, so let me mention Google here. You open up the Google web page and you start typing something into the field, in the search box. And what happens when you do that?
Something appears. We get results.
Right. Yeah, of course. But you also get that small drop down from Google, where Google is suggesting a couple of things, possible search strings that you might want to look for. It's called predictive search. So Google tries to estimate or to understand what you type in when you type in, let's say, convert. And I was doing that. You can try it as well. Type in convert in Google, and it suggests convert to Judaism, convert to Islam, convert to Christian, and convert to PDF. And so Google is trying to understand what you're searching for and estimate the results. And then you can select from this list and hit the button, and you get to the search results page that is tailored to that search string. So we like that idea very much, and that's why we introduced that in the published online help as well. So people can go now and type into the search box in the published online help, and the help system that you can produce with Framework or RoboHelp now gives you exactly this drop down box where it shows you all the possible pages and titles that contain these search strings, so that you are more likely to find what you're looking for and more faster in finding the things that you're looking for in this published online help system. So that's one thing we did. This search autocomplete or predictive search. A lot of intelligence went into that. And then the template design was enhanced, and then we spent a lot of effort into making the underlying code of the published output helps better. So today it's Section 508 compliant. If you're not aware of that, what Section 508 is, it's for accessibility. So especially when you produce products or want to sell products to US government organizations, you need to be Section 508 compliant. for accessibility, and a lot of changes in the code, in the underlying code that the end user cannot see, but it's still relevant for the code of the HTML5. A lot of effort went into that to make the responsive HTML5 helps Section 508 compliant. We did spend a lot of effort into making them SEO compatible, so that Google and other search engines can spider them more effectively, so that people can use also Google from external to search and find the content that you as a company are producing in your online help if you publish it online, and make it accessible for search engines. So a lot of things went into that. And then there were a lot of smaller changes, usually things that the community was asking for, and said, oh, can you please change that and make it more easy for us to ship that help, and so on. And we did a lot of smaller changes that were based on community feedback.
Okay. I am, my knowledge on the software, if I'm a business person, my knowledge on it is not nearly as detailed as Connie's. So I'm not sure if this is a good question or not, but interaction between, is there interactivity between FrameMaker and RoboHelp? Is that something that exists?
Yes.
Okay, how so?
Yeah. So there has been this connection for a long time. And FrameMaker is, you can create content in FrameMaker and import it into RoboHelp. It doesn't matter if you create content based on DITA or if you create classic FrameMaker documents. You can import both into RoboHelp and then go the publishing route through RoboHelp, or managing the content and rearranging it and so on. So yeah, there's a direct connection between FrameMaker and RoboHelp. A lot of technologies that are inside RoboHelp or are coming from RoboHelp, from the publishing part of it, went into FrameMaker as well. So you can also do that publishing from within FrameMaker without RoboHelp these days. Or you can use RoboHelp for more advanced capabilities in publishing and more output formats. And FrameMaker has a very limited set of output formats like responsive HTML5 and Amazon Kindle and EPUB and Adobe Experience Manager and CHM. So these are the output formats in FrameMaker, and RoboHelp has tons of more output formats. If you need them, like Eclipse Help or so, you can use RoboHelp to access these additional publishing capabilities as well.
Oh, okay. Not my best question I've ever asked, but it was a good question. Like a good, okay, I answered a question I'd had for quite a while, so fell all over myself asking it, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard people ask, well, if I've got RoboHelp, why do I need FrameMaker? Or if I have FrameMaker, why do I need RoboHelp? And that is, I had never heard it's succinct an answer as to why you might want to consider both, depending on what your own particular needs are. So thank you for clarifying that.
And then I think there's, I know this question very well, and I hear it very often. What should I go for, RoboHelp or FrameMaker, or both? And I say it depends on the use case and what you want to do. So if you create classic software documentation, RoboHelp might be the way to go. It's a classic help authoring tool. If you want to work with DITA and structured content, then you need to go for FrameMaker. If you want to work with a content management system, you go for FrameMaker. If you don't need a content management system and all the management capabilities of RoboHelp are enough for you, then go for RoboHelp. So it depends on what you as a company want to do and where you want to go to with your online help or your help system. You decide for this or that, and if you want, you can combine both. So that you have a lot of flexibility what you want to do there.
Very nice.
Gotcha. Just taking some notes here. So now we're getting down to the actual release itself. I know you've been waiting for this part of it, you know. So I guess the first question here is, we talked briefly at the beginning of our conversation about, this merger, the convergence of marketing and technical content. What do you think led enterprises to realize the business value of consolidating the process between marketing and technical content to a common platform.
Yeah. There are multiple things why companies want to do that, or why they came to us and asking us to do it. So one is, of course, a pure IT thing. They wanted to consolidate all the technology platforms that they were running. And they didn't want to have all these separate systems and maintain them and manage them and update them and so on and so on. And they wanted to have one solution, one platform that they can use for all their enterprise content. So that's a pure IT management thing that was a requirement there. And the second part of the story is that they wanted to. They always had a lot of companies always had the problem that they had difficulties to publish their technical content on their website. So in the past, with all the other tools, it's usually you create some HTML help or something, and then put it on a separate website, and on your company website, on the support section or so, you link to these external online help websites and so on. So there's a break in the user experience, and the user leaves the corporate website to access the help website, and then he's out of the corporate website and out of the marketing ecosystem of the company and all this. And companies wanted to merge that. They want to keep the user in their website, in their portal, in their system, and track the user journey between technical content and marketing content, and use the assets together. So marketing is creating great visuals, nice photos, and so on. And the technical documentation department, what were they doing? They were sending the files around by email. So that's
and they still do.
And they still do. And marketing was creating some content, and then they send it to the tech writer to convert it to data or whatever. Or the tech writer was creating a technical documentation, send it to marketing, or a product sheet or product data sheet or whatever, was sending it to marketing as a data file or some XML file that they were using in their content management system. And marketing said, huh, what? What did you send us there? We have no use of that. And these different technologies and different silos were creating a lot of problems in the companies. And now it's very easy to merge that. You just manage it on one platform, and they can share the content easily. And just think of the process and the flow of how content can go there on the production side. So there can be a photographer with his smart DSLR camera, and he uses Creative Cloud and Adobe Creative Cloud technologies. He shoots a photo in the field or in the plant or whatever, and the photo automatically goes to through the Creative Cloud connection of Adobe Experience Manager, goes into Experience Manager in the assets system. There it can be tagged and specified all the metadata for the photo and so on. And it immediately pops up in the asset system, also for other marketing departments, for the graphic designer who's using InDesign to create a catalog or a brochure or something. And it's also immediately available for the Framework user who's creating database content. But they can all use that together, and the data just flows through the system and is immediately accessible for everyone in the company. So this is all coming together, and people can, both the marketing designer who's working with Illustrator, Photoshop, or InDesign or so can use these assets. The technical writer can use the same assets. They can share them among each other on the asset platform, and they can use them together when publishing it on the website. They can even exchange the content. So you could have full marketing website with all kinds of pure marketing content, like a classic marketing website from a company. And most company websites are marketing websites. Mm-hmm. And you can squeeze into small snippets of your technical content there, like technical data. You can drill down into the data topic, not only the full topic, like an XML-based classic CMS. It's a pure component content management system. So Adobe Experience Manager understands the data XML and can drill down into the XML document, into the data document. And even if you have a bigger topic and just one small table with technical data that the technical writer is maintaining, you can pull out this single table and put it on the marketing website to show the technical data a server house or whatever. So these content areas really merge and blend together and become more. There's a more seamless experience for the content creators and for content marketers and content strategists in the company to use all kinds of content assets from the company.
Interesting.
So with what you've described, what type of interest are you seeing with this kind of solution to address the convergence of marketing and tech comp content?
Yeah, so since we announced it officially last year, and I think it was in June, let's say we were surprised. So we started to work on it, and there was this requirement from a couple of bigger companies, like really big companies, and we thought, okay, we build that solution, and it's a small thing, and it will make them happy, and so. And we totally underestimated the market feedback that came on us after that. So all the content strategies and tons of companies. I think currently we have 50 or so companies evaluating it, and we were totally surprised to see this huge interest. We did expect some interest on it because it's a cool thing and a cool story, but we did not expect that big interest and that big feedback from the companies and the content strategy community that we are facing today.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So, and this is a kind of an off-the-wall follow-up question. So, do you think what's happening here is that the content strategists who come from the TechCom world are gaining more influence, or is it that marketing is finally learning that they need their technical content, or somewhere in between?
I would say it's both. So I have seen both examples. So on the one hand, technical authors, technical content producers, information architects, and so they're suddenly getting more relevance in the company. On the other hand, we have the marketing people who say, oh, we can now use all these technical content for our marketing efforts and create new customer journeys and so on. And so both sides are interested, and they suddenly start to talk to each other more. So it's in the past, it was always like marketing would not talk to technical documentation, and technical documentation would not talk to marketing because they said, yeah, they don't understand what we are doing.
Yeah.
And now it's merging. The idea that it's merging on a technology platform suddenly also merges the processes in the company. And the departments are suddenly coming together, discussing how they can leverage the huge amounts of content that both silos had created in the past, how they can leverage it on both sides better and connect it and create new experiences there.
It's funny because over the years that the TechWhirl email discussion board has been in existence, it's always been one of the big battles between, I never want to do marketing. I'm just a tech writer and all of these kinds of things. And now all of a sudden, this sort of thought that I had in the back of my head many years ago that, it's really all part and parcel of the same thing is starting to make itself known. So it to me, it's even more exciting because it gives you as a content server so many more options and directions to go in to try and provide what a customer needs in order to satisfactorily use the product that you want them to buy.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's that pre-sales, post-sales thing. So marketing is pre-sales, and they get all the budget. And technical documentation is post-sales, so it just gets a small, tiny budget. And so the tech writers and the tech departments were always in a much worse situation than the marketing departments in terms of funding and budgets and so on. And this is changing now. And as technical content becomes more and more a sales driver, companies start to realize, oh, we need to put more effort on that. And it also changes the way technical writers will see themselves in the future. It might not apply to all products. There are a lot of regulated products that have to fulfill requirements, legal requirements, and so on. especially in aero defense or medical devices and so on, and pharmaceuticals and so maybe not exactly these fields, but especially when it comes to consumer products and IT world and so technical writers will change in the way they create content and see that the content that they produced in the past might not fulfill the requirements from a marketing perspective. Mm-hmm. So they will start to change and create content in a way that is more fitting in the wording and so on, also for marketing purposes, especially for consumer products. All these new possibilities that we have there, for example, in the Experience Manager, we also support the new IIRDS standard, which is an upcoming standard from the that is built with the German TCOM for Industry 4.0 scenarios and Information 4.0 scenarios. We already support that in Adobe Experience Manager in the DIDA CCMS, and this also makes it necessary to create content in new ways. Standardizing it more, making smaller chunks of content, smaller snippets, because you never know where your content might be displayed. And you need to tag the content now to say, this is for this audience, this is for this audience, this is for this platform, this is for this platform, and so on. So you need to work with XML and tag the content and so on, and then say, okay, this is the sentence that will go up in a head-up display in the car as a help message. This paragraph will go into maybe Google Glass or something, and this content will be displayed on a smart device, like a smartphone or something, for the online help. And this is the full-fledged thing for the whole big support portal, and this is the version for the PDF output for print. I sometimes hear people say print is dead, but it's definitely not. So I mean, talked to a lot of companies where they said, this online world is great, but we are selling our machines to the and they're in use in the rainforest somewhere in South America or so, and there is no internet. So we need to provide the documentation on paper, or we even seal it into plastic so that people can use it with their oily hands or so, the engineers. So there are a lot of scenarios, and one content and one channel is not enough. So companies want to produce their content to multiple channels and multiple formats, and you need intelligent systems like Adobe Experience Manager and FrameMaker and DIDA and so on to be able to do that. So I think that's the future. In the past, we were thinking about one channel. Today, we need to think about multiple channels where we all want to ship our content to and where people are consuming it. And we need to ask ourselves, what will we do with the content in the future? And depending on these answers on these questions, even if it's a head-up display in the car or Google Glass or whatever, or a smartwatch like the Apple Watch or so, that might also show you error messages from your machine, and you want to maybe swipe down and see, oh yeah, that's the answer for the problem there. So our content will be displayed on much more devices in the future and much more channels in the future, and to deliver on that, we will also need to rethink how we write content and how we organize content and how we manage the content.
Yeah, and I think that sort of leads to another question in terms of as we get to more and more micro-sized content, whether it's a tooltip or if it's just something that's within an interface. How do we start thinking about the challenges of a lot of what we tend to write is kind of narrative in nature. It's either procedural or it's narrative in some fashion or another, so that you don't get a whole lot of, when you try and combine those little snippets of content, you don't get a bunch of disjointed, it doesn't make any sense, I can't put it together kind of thing. I'm not asking the question particularly well, but I think you might understand what I mean.
Yeah.
What do we need to be thinking about as far as how we create this content so that it can be used both in a longer form and in these short snippets in all sorts of different environments and channels?
Yeah. I was in Paris last week for the Documentation conference, and we had an Information 4.0 track there. and Ray Gallen was organizing and moderating it. And he brought up that nice term of molecular content. So content is like small molecules, and I said, I like that idea, and we need to call us smaller content chunks. When I remember my first days in technical communication, like 20 years ago or so, I remember very well these times where we created big documentations with thousands of pages, and we had these big drops. So we always said, oh, our drop tomorrow is that. And today we're moving from drops to drips. So that's
I
the
love
thing.
it.
Yeah, we're moving from drops to drips, and the content gets smaller. And it's not only because of technology, it's also because of the end user. So the attention span is getting shorter. People want to get faster information. They want to understand it faster. They don't have time to read. They don't want to read long content chunk, long content blocks. They don't want to flip pages and pages and pages to find their content. And so they want to get the information in place in their situation where they are. They want to get it embedded and in context, and they want to get short information, and they want enchanting information. So they want to have nice information that they can read fast and easy, and where they feel comfortable and satisfied that they found the solution. So that is something where we need to ask more and maybe change the perspective a little bit more from all the questions that we were posing to ourselves, like how do we manage content, how do we organize content, how do we automate things, and so on, to the question, to the user perspective, and say, how's the user interacting with our content? How does he like it? Where does he consume it? Maybe he wants to read it on a tablet when he's sitting on the sofa. Maybe he wants to read it in the car, or maybe not in the car, but at the office desk.
When they're a passenger, it's okay.
When it's in the bus, let's say in the bus. So when he's sitting in the commuter train or so. So people want to consume the content in many ways today, and we all do that today anyway in our private life. We're sitting with a smartphone in the train or in the bus or whatever, and reading it, and we expect that content is available everywhere. From wherever we are and whichever device we are using, we expect the content to be there and to be accessible in a nice, convenient way for us. And in the technical writing world, we are, I think, sometimes a little behind that. And when I talk to companies, they sometimes say, we don't need that. We have that PDF and it's fine and it's good for our customers. They don't need anything else. And then they say, you're sitting here at the conference table. How are you accessing your content? With your smartphone. So you're doing it in your private life. Why don't you do it also in business life? And they say, okay, yeah, you're right. So maybe we should put ourselves more in the shoes of the user, of the end user, the customer who's consuming our content that we produce, and find new ways to provide that content. The technology is there. All the systems are there, the tools are there, the XML languages are there, the processes are there. We can just use them. Adobe has all these solutions, and companies, I would like to encourage companies and tech writers to have a closer look at these tools and think about the possibilities, how they can use them. And it does not always have to be the classic manual. You can do a lot more when you're doing with XML. And my friend Jan Grat, he always amazes even me by finding new ways and ideas what to do with content. And especially when you do it with XML, you have all kinds of possibilities what you can do. And if you can gem it, you can do it. So that's the message there.
Seems like a pretty
why
good...
why not apply that for technical content as well?
Yes, absolutely.
Seems like a pretty good closing comment there. We're running near the end of our hour.
Okay.
So any final comments before we wind down? We got about 2 minutes here.
Okay. Any closing comment? Yeah, I think I made more or less my closing comment in the last 1-2 minutes already. So be curious as a tech writer, as a manager. Be curious, be bold, be brave, and innovative. Try to think about new possibilities, what you can do with your content, how you can leverage it, and where do you publish it, and how do you publish it, and then create new experiences for your customers with your technical content.
Very good. We are out of time, and we thank you so much for answering our questions. It has been very, very helpful to learn about it and just talking about the industry in general. We do appreciate, certainly learned a good bit, and look forward to seeing you at one of the upcoming conferences. What is your next conference?
Tomorrow, I'm driving to Kassel in Germany for the TCOM Spring Conference. It's about 600 people, I think. So that's the second biggest conference in Germany. The biggest one is the one in October, November, the TCOM Annual Fair with about 4,500 people or something. And the small one is the one tomorrow with 600 people. And then I don't know. next one is, I think, China.
All right, we'll follow you on Twitter to figure out where you're at. So.
Yeah, right.
Where in the world is Stefan?
That's it. New name on the.
You could make a hunt like that on Twitter. Yeah.
As we finish up here, one final plug. If you are interested in looking at software, you can download the Adobe TechCom Suite, the 2017 release. You have 30 days free. You can certainly have plenty of support as you're getting to know the software. We recommend, if you are in the market, go ahead and take a look at it. As we finish up, for Stefan, Connie, myself, everyone at TechWhirl, thank you so much for watching today, and we hope you have a great day.
Thank you very much, Alan and Connie. It was a great time with you.